I'm a short-tailed weasel. Seen better days. Make sure you check out the videos on Dave's Wild Kingdom. All right, this is a clay pond. They're always after me to get rid of the muskrats because they're always drilling holes in them. You can see the runs in a clay pond. They leave it. You don't even need the air bubbles. If it was frozen, you could see the air bubbles, but we can see the clay run, but as long as you don't disturb the area. You can see it coming out of there. They leave a trail. It goes out that way a little bit, but it goes over to the right, over by that old tire. So that's the entrance right there, if I can reach it. It's a little hairy. I'm kind of a short guy. I smoked when I was younger, like my daughter. It stung in my throat, but a little bit borderline. That's all right. It's all good, Amanda. We got a kind of an entrance here, but there's the main entrance is right there. You can see it. Mark these before you muddy up the water. But their main entrance is right here, and I can actually reach this one. The other one I had to kind of drop it on because it's that deep. But throw me that other stake there, Teresa. This one I can get where it's supposed to be. You can't miss it if you can get to it. They're out in kind of deep water, but I can see the muddy trail. We're going to put a conibear right in front of it. When you can get to them, perfect. Just a matter of finding them. And you want to mark these with your stakes ahead of time. Figure out what you're doing, because once you get in the water, you're done. You can't see the trail anymore. You can do the same thing if there's ice on the pond, but there isn't ice on the pond. But I can see the clay trail here. We will have, no doubt, a muskrat here tomorrow. Perfect. I'm right rock bottom on there. You'll either have a muskrat or you'll have a pathetic miss. But he can't be one or the other. All right, we got a little, this actually is a setback off the Hudson River. It's a tributary actually, but dumps in here, it's pretty big. And there's another setback off the setback over here. And the water's pretty dry, so there's a channel coming up through here that everything will use. And I like a 220 here, especially if you think it's going to be mostly muskrats with an occasional possibility of a otter or something like that. So this time the possibility was definitely a muskrat, but it goes right here in this channel. We got a couple beaver sets here too, but here you go, Teresa. Ew. Swamp Rat Dave here. We got a beaver complaint down here on the river again. They're always down in this section, and I know where they are. We got a big lodge over here. This is all clay down here. It's a bitch. Or, I mean, it's annoying. Putting a castor mound set here. Plus, it's just a natural blind spot where they come up here. They've been coming in here forever. Once you've got these spots down, the beaver moves in here. Lodge is over there. Beaver's over here. It's an easy spot to catch beavers. It's perfect. Just to mix it up, this represents a beaver cast mound that they make. They mark their territory. You know, that means stay away from me, I'm King Beaver. So this is what they do. They push the mud up. They use their the scent glands they have to mark that this is my territory. Stay away from me. And No swearing, kids might be watching. It's hard for me to do. Got some Hobbaker caster mound set. We're going to put it on this. New beaver in the area. You might catch them here anyways, but to double our chances, I'm putting this caster mound in. We're here anyways. It only takes an extra minute. And we'll clean these beavers up. These Amanda. And you can see the ones with reddish heads are toms and their hens are brown. They're in good shape though. They're all, I don't know, 6-8 pounds. They're all this year's birds. And there's a couple hens there, big adult hens. But yeah, the water's way down in the river this year, so the setbacks are way down. I mean, you can look for these rats wherever. They're in these little water trails in between stuff. It's almost all mud. The population's not good this year overall, but you can still catch them. You find a rat trail and you put a conibear. I use a lot of these 160s and 220s. The little 110s are kind of hard to get narrowed down, but these 160s work great. You'll catch mink and muskrats with them. There's one swimming through this little channel here where there's water. There's not much water. You can see where the bank, usually it's up above this tree here. That's normal. And this is where it's at. So these shallow water spots, these things work good in the shallow water. Mink, muskrats, and I've caught a few. Occasionally you get an otter to stick his head in this. It's a little small for otter. You're better off with a 220, but the otter uses a 220 for the otter. But these work okay and they're great for muskrats, and you can cover these channels a little better. Dave out. Hey, we just down in a Hudson River setback doing a little beaver otter trapping, mostly beaver. When you have these spots like this comes off the river and there's a brook that dumps in here. The beaver's got a big lodge up under the bridge. But there's a brook that runs this, and I know it. It's a mucky hole, but it winds through the cattails here. We're trapping some nuisance beaver, but we're trapping for whatever. Always, you got to set here just in case the beavers go up in here. They've been cutting this. They didn't. But the main channel of the brook, it's about waist deep. And I put a 280 and a 330 in there. Now, Amanda reminded me, some of you people don't know what those are. We're going to go over those numbers in a different video and show you the sizes and why they're good or why they're not so good. But anyways, I put in two sets in there, a 280 and a 330. And the main thing is, if you got a hot spot like this and it looks good, don't put one trap in, put a couple. And we put some crossing logs on top and just fenced them off like you normally will. It's a very common set. Try to get the beaver to go through the killer trap. And he did. So we got this beaver here, which is not a big beaver, in the first trap. But in the second trap, in the 280, we caught this nice river otter. He's kind of mucky because this is an awful muck hole, but that's a nice adult male Hudson River otter. And if I hadn't set that second trap, I no doubt would have just caught that beaver and not the otter. So double up on him if it looks really good. Put a couple traps in there, 2, 3. Put some sets in there just in case that happens. Because if I had just put the one set in, I would have had that little beaver, which is what we're trapping for, but I would not have gotten that nice otter because I wouldn't have had a trap there to set. So keep that in mind. SRD here. Hey, my daughter and I, Amanda, had a really good day on the line, I guess, today. We caught some stuff. I wanted to show some of it and just talk about things for a second. Now here is an average beaver. This is a 2-year-old beaver. Not a giant, but not a baby. It's a 2-year-old. Every second year they kick them out. So that's what happens. Once you're 2-year-old, you're out on your own, just like going to college. And here is another one we caught. Look at the size of this thing. I'm an old man. Look how big this beaver is. I carried this thing out a half a mile just to show the picture to you, I guess. But this is a big beaver. Beavers are a big animal. This is why they can do so much damage in the wrong spot, but they're a beautiful animal too. Now, we're all about using whatever we can on these animals. That's half of the reason. I'm a big fan of that. The beavers in North America and New York, for instance, are overpopulated now. We have too many beavers for spots that they can go in, and that's the problem. They're like, well, why doesn't the state transplant them? There's no more spots to put them. And if they're in the wrong spot, they do a lot of damage. And what the state does now, they don't even check it or anything. what they do is issue you a nuisance permit as long as you own the land that the beavers are on. So if you own the land, they'll send you a permit for, I don't know, 6 months, and you can shoot the beavers, you can destroy the dams, you can trap wherever you want to get rid of the beavers. They don't care. They don't want to deal with it. They don't have the manpower. So whatever happens, happens. And unfortunately, which I hate to see, but half the time what happens, a guy goes out with a rifle, if he can shoot with a rifle, like at a hunting camp or a farm or whatever, and just shoots the beavers. And they float down the river and they're wasted. I hate to see that. I mean, it's going to happen. And I know it's going to happen occasionally. It's got to happen. There's too many beavers, period. But we like to utilize them the best we can now. The beavers that we get, now this beavers, I've eaten beaver several times, they're delicious. And I probably wouldn't eat this one though, because it's right out of the Hudson River. But I had a funny joke to make, but I'm not going to do that. I forget to talk about that with my daughter. So we better skip that. But they make wallets out of the tail. We sell everything we can out of this thing. Like I say, I wouldn't eat a PCB beaver, but anything else, they're delicious. Wallets out of the tail. They use the feet. Look at the size of his foot. He's got a huge foot, and they make jewelry out of the things. The skull. Look at his teeth. Look at that beaver's teeth. I got a friend that buys the skulls, the feet. Tails are skinned out, and they make leather products out of them, like wallets. Utilize them. Do what you can with them. You know, that's what the Native Americans believed in. It's not a sin or against their religion to kill a buffalo, but to waste a buffalo it is. You don't kill a buffalo for the robe and the tongue. You eat it, utilize it. That's the way they believed, and that's the way I believe. These scent glands are down here. These are casters. We sell that by the pound. Skin that out. I'll show you how to do it in another video. But it's right here. This is not a male beaver, and he's got big giant nuts. This is his casters. And underneath him is his scent glands. But they use that actually for making lure and making perfume. There's a market for it. So everything we can utilize on this animal, I try to utilize. Sell it or whatever. And sometimes things aren't about the money. It's not a matter of this beaver gave up his life. I'd hate to see a 30-06 hole in the back of this beaver's back and let him float down in the river to be rot somewhere and let the turkey vultures eat him. So we're going to do what we can with him. That's a good beaver though. And this one here is there's nothing much to say about this. It's a male. It's a nice Hudson River otter. They're very common around here. People don't realize how common otters are in New York State. They're very common. We have a lot of otters. Now, muskrats. These are all decent muskrats. There's not many muskrats in the river this year where I am because the water's way low. But these are Hudson River muskrats. And these are 4 out of 5 adult. That's a teenager. But this one here is interesting because see how the fur on this one is so much darker than the other ones? Well, this is a black muskrat. And years ago, they always paid more for the black muskrats. It's just a color variation. They're common, but I used to catch pockets of them where you might get 15 or 20, and they would all be black. It's in the heredity of the muskrat, the color gene, just like a black gray squirrel. Now they don't pay more because they can dye them any color you want, but they're just interesting, and they're very pretty when they're dried out. Now, skunks. They're making hats out of skunks. There's a demand for them. These two are both roadkills. Again, even though I should drive by a skunk, but if they don't stink too bad, I have to pick them up to do something with them. And these are all muddy because I put them in the brook overnight and I didn't have time to skin them out, so I brought them down here for a road trip. But that's why they're like that. Put them in the overnight in the brook and takes most of the stink out of them. Now, these guys, I'm sure you're aware of, are our possums. And when I was a kid and first moved here, we had no possums or ticks in New York State. And they gradually moved up from the south or however they got here. Now, possums and our grouse numbers have been down for 10 or 15 years here. And probably affects the songbirds too. Possums are great raiders of eggs. They love to eat eggs. And anything that nests on the ground they raid, and any songbird they can get to they eat. They love the eggs. Now the problem with the possums, you're like, well, how come we got so many possums, Dave? Well, the reason we have so many possums, these animals can have, down south 3, but up here in the North Country, 2 litters a year. And what this is here, these might have been from the same mother because we got them in the same area. Actually, this one come out of my daughter's barn. This one here probably ate 20 cantaloupes on me this year. As they turned ripe, he would eat them. And I didn't know what was going on. And this is what was going on, a sweet-toothed possum. So I got a lot of cantaloupes in this possum. But what happens is these may be both from the same mother. This is their first litter. And he's like a medium possum, I guess you'd call him, a teenage possum. But from the same mother, she'll have the second litter, and she'll produce these little possums the size of that, a little bigger than a gray squirrel. So I do what I can to thin the possums out because we have too many possums. So you think about that. One female possum, you know, one female fox or a beaver, they usually have two. So your female beaver has two, once in a while 3 babies. All right, so the beavers get up out of the way. Possums has 2 litters of anywhere from 6 to 10 babies. So one female possum can produce 20 possums eating eggs. So there's too many possums, and they're very immune to disease. They're tough as nails. So that's why these get out of control. That's why there's so many possums, because there can be. They're just tough, and things don't really eat them readily either. They just don't like them. Possums are kind of the way it is. So when I can kill a possum, I kill a possum. I mean, and we're still going to utilize this best we can. And but this is today's catch. So it was a pretty good day. I got a lot of work to do now, but I don't know what if I want to. I don't know how many of these big beavers. This beaver was probably a half a mile back, and I had no rope, no nothing, no knife to skin him.
I told you shouldn't have brought rope.
Yeah, we should bring rope. I had found a piece of trapping wire in my pack, so I carried it out like this. But guess what? I'm too old for that. That's like a good heart attack stress test. I made it, but boy, that's the way today went. So today was a good day. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and stay tuned for more videos.